In this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips for using reinforcement more efficiently with your service dog. Because as you've noticed in the last 2 videos, I've talked a lot about how to create more efficient and more effective training sessions using the idea of loopy training. So if you haven't seen those videos, you're going to want to watch those and then come back to this one, where we're talking all about using that last piece of the loop, the reinforcement, to create even more efficient training session. Because the thing about reinforcement is that it's what drives your entire training loop forward. It's what maintains behaviors and it's what drives your entire training session. So my first tip is to stop thinking about reinforcement as a thing and start thinking about it as a behavior. We tend to think about reinforcement as a piece of food, as a treat, as a toy, as praise. But really, it's the behavior of eating a treat or the behavior of playing with a toy that is the reinforcement. So when we stop thinking about reinforcement as a thing and start to think about it as a behavior, it opens up a whole new world of reinforcement. Because really, anything that your dog wants can be reinforcing. Things like playing with other dogs, going outside, getting in the car, or even being allowed to sniff things or greet people can all be harnessed and used as reinforcement. My second tip is to teach that behavior ahead of time. If you're going to use a toy as a reinforcer, your dog needs to know when he's allowed to take the toy and when he has to drop it. If you're going to use food, your dog has to be able to eat food in the presence of other dogs or other distractions. He needs to be able to take food gently from your hands. If you're going to throw food on the floor, you need to teach your dog when he's allowed to eat food off the floor before you can use any of those things inside of a training session. Because if you're trying to use a toy, like a tug toy, teach your dog to come when called, but he doesn't know how to drop it, that's going to really slow down your training. And if you're going to throw a treat to reset your dog after a behavior such as a sit, but he doesn't know how to find the treat or orient back towards you after he's eaten it, that's really going to slow down your session. Or even if your dog just takes treats too roughly. If you try to fix that in the middle of a training session to teach something else, it just bogs everything down. So make sure that you teach your reinforcement behavior or process before you try to use it to reinforce new behaviors inside of a training session. My third tip is to keep your reinforcement procedure clean, because sloppy reinforcement procedures will introduce sloppiness into your training session and bog the whole thing down. Now, what that means is a couple of things. First of all, your reinforcement should not move until after you've delivered a marker. So if my marker is a click and my reinforcer is a food, then my hand should not reach for the food until after I have clicked. The other thing that this means about our reinforcer is that it should be quick, controllable, and it should have a clear start and end to it. Which brings us back to, you need to train the reinforcement procedure ahead of time. So if you like this video, if you found it helpful, make sure to hit the like button below and share this video with your fellow owner trainers. And then tune in next week when I'm going to talk to you about how to increase your dog's food motivation so that you can use food as a more effective reinforcer even when there are things like other dogs or other people present.